Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I want to talk about my top 3 best and worst boss fights that I've experienced in Elden Ring. This is entirely my opinion. People may agree or disagree on what boss they think they like the most and hate the most, but this is just for me. So, we're going to go back and forth between worst and best. And to start this off, let's start with the third worst boss that I fought, and that was Commander Nile. Fighting one boss is tough enough in Elden Ring. Imagine fighting one boss with 2 very powerful enemies in the opening of the boss fight. This took me a number of tries just to deal with the first phase mainly. The second phase was challenging, but it was much more manageable to handle, and I personally think it was a lot easier in the second phase, which usually you would think that the boss gets harder in the second phase, but it was the opposite for this boss from my experience. The third best boss in the game for me was Asel. This was such a visually mesmerizing fight to take part in. The arena was extremely scenic, being all space and nebula themed, and Asel had a design that can give nightmares to people not prepared, just from his face alone. But I absolutely loved that the body looked to be made out of planets and or stars, whatever it was made out of. This was such a fun fight. The second worst boss in this game for me was Electo. Of the optional bosses that are found in Evergauz, Electo takes the cake. This is definitely a tough boss, and Electo is not weak to much at all, other than maybe Pierce. If it wasn't challenging enough with how much health Electo has, along with the amount of damage that this boss can slam you with in a single hit, you cannot summon any help to fight you. No NPCs, no players. These types of boss battles are designed to be one-on-ones, so you gotta really be ready for this fight. Luckily, though, the reward for beating this extremely tough optional boss was absolutely worth it. The second best boss fight for me would have to be Radon. The first phase was slightly meh to me personally, but that second phase, it really made up for it. The second phase version of this boss had such a unique but weird look that was confusing and overwhelming to stare at. I couldn't really tell what I was fighting many times, other than I had a lot of fun doing it. The only downside to this fight was that I felt like I was fighting a second boss at the same time, and that boss was the camera angle. Here we are. My worst boss in Elden Ring. Melenia. This is one of those bosses that is talked about a lot in the Elden Ring community. This boss, for me, was a nightmare. Insanely high damaging attacks, wild healing upon attacks connecting on you or a summon, so all your hard work of damaging her could go to waste in a matter of seconds. But there's a few other couple bad things about this boss fight, and that was the waterfowl dance, and of course, in case I didn't mention it already, the waterfowl dance. An attack that you must be so precise with timing to dodge, you will inevitably die otherwise, and there is absolutely no saving you. It took so many tries to learn that a shield can protect you from the last burst of that dance attack, depending on your build, of course. Melenia will practically teleport across the map to hit you with this waterfowl dance. No matter how far away you are, she will hit you with that last burst of the attack. It does not matter. And it's going to be bad if you're not prepared for it. Luckily, there is a wind-up before she uses it, so you can tell when the pain is going to begin. This is the only boss in the game that I needed help from another player to defeat her, because it was just so something else. Even with another player helping me, it took us close to 3 to 4 hours. I'll put it this way. Melenia is the only FromSoft boss I've ever fought that I never plan to fight again if I go through with another playthrough. Absolutely not. Have the Erd Tree. I'm not fighting you ever again. And lastly, here we are at my favorite boss fight in Elden Ring, and that would have to be Radon. This boss battle is literally equivalent to a beast trying to invade a castle, and everybody at the castle fights to defend their home. The arena is so massive, there practically isn't one. It's just the open desert of Khalid. What makes this amazing fight 10 times better is that you can summon multiple NPCs to fight alongside you throughout the arena. It ends up feeling like a full-on war when you have a whole bunch of these NPCs to assist you with fighting this beast, and it was just incredible to fight. This was easily my favorite boss fight in the game. And with all that being said, that was my top 3 best and worst bosses that I fought in Elden Ring. There were a few that didn't make the list, mainly because I couldn't think of enough for both sides to increase it. For example, on the worst list, I was going to do the Godskin duo, because they were a very obnoxious boss, but once I learned about the whole sleeping cheese that you can do, I decided, you know what, they're not really the worst boss anymore, now that I learned about the sleep thing you can do on them. And then for the best bosses, I was going to put Rykard on it, because that was a very fun boss. And it also was a nice little reference to how Yorm the Giant, that fight was in Dark Souls 3, where the best weapon to use against it was an item found in the room. And that boss fight was actually really fun with Rykard as well. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments which bosses you liked and hated. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.